For my dish, I decided to make vegetarian burrito bowls with corn, beans, and cilantro lime rice. First, I started off by dicing up 2 plum tomatoes. This is the start of our pico de gallo that comes with this dish. I also chopped 2 orange bell peppers, which was not a necessity for this dish, but I quite like them, so I decided to add them. After those got mixed into the bowl, I decided to add some pre-diced green bell peppers and onion. The peppers, again, were not a necessity, but I really like them, so I decided to add them. After I added my peppers, tomatoes, and onions into my bowl, I added 1 tablespoon of lime juice to make it a little more sour. After this, I added salt. It was just to taste. I prefer my things a little more salty, so I decided to add just a little bit more than others may. The salt was the last ingredient I had to add, so after that, I grabbed my spoon and I just began mixing up my pico de gallo until all of the vegetables were nicely mixed and the lime juice and the salt was coating everything. I think it ended up looking really delicious and we were so excited to eat it. It looked so fresh and wonderful. Next up, we began preparations on the guacamole. This recipe called for 2 nice ripe avocados. This was my first time cutting an avocado, so it was a bit of a learning curve, but I just slowly sliced them in half, removed the pits, and began slowly dicing them while they were still within the skin, and then I just put them in a nice bowl on the side and began to mash them up until they were more of a smooth texture. And just to clarify, we did not waste the rest of those orange bell peppers. They were saved for a nice, nutritious snack after we were done eating our dinner. After I mashed up my avocados, I took 1 teaspoon of lime juice and added it into the bowl as well, and began to mix until the lime juice was just fully incorporated within the avocados. After this, I took some onions from my pre-sliced onion and pepper mixture and put them in as well. This was just to taste as well. I like onions quite a lot, so I put more in than some may. After this, I grabbed my cilantro. The recipe technically called for fresh cilantro, but we found really nice dried cilantro and decided to use that instead. I added 1 tablespoon of this to the mixture, and that was the last ingredient I needed to add. So after I did that, I just mixed everything up one more time, and we had our lovely guacamole. Next up, we moved downstairs to the dorm kitchen, where we began preparing our brown rice. We used 2 cups of instant brown rice mixed in with half a cup of water, which we microwaved for 9 minutes until very nice and soft. After this, we began thawing our frozen corn in a pan over medium heat with just a little bit of water in there. After it was thawed, we added a teaspoon of red chili powder into the mix and just kept stirring and added a little bit of olive oil, around a tablespoon or 2. Afterwards, we added El Paso taco seasoning, just as much as we prefer. We tend to really like this kind of seasoning, so we added a bit more. And we just kept stirring that corn around until it was gently golden brown around the edges and really delicious. About 2 minutes before our corn was done, we added about half a can of black beans into the mixture as well, and we just stirred those around for another 2 minutes until our corn was, as I said before, nice and browned, and our beans were nice and warm and ready to eat. As we were finishing up our corn and beans, our rice finished up in the microwave as well. First, we added 1 tablespoon of lime juice. The recipe actually called for 2, but we don't really like sour things, so we just added 1. After that, we added 1 tablespoon of dried cilantro, and then our rice was done. We just nicely mixed everything together until it was all combined and incorporated, and next up was the tofu. I took the block of tofu and drained it, pressed it, and then scrambled it up until it was almost a sort of raw beef texture. I then seasoned the tofu with 1 teaspoon of chili powder and taco seasoning to taste. I then mixed it all up with my hands until all of the seasonings were incorporated and coated each piece. We then took the tofu and put it in a pan over medium heat until it was browned and crispy. This was the last step we had to complete, and then we constructed our burrito bowls. And this is our finished product here. I enjoyed these bowls alongside my roommate and her girlfriend, and we all had a great time eating them, and they were delicious and super healthy, and we even had leftovers.